guys, welcome to today's video. Today I am tackling some of the most asked questions. Well, it's like one big question, but like made up of multiple questions that I get. Anytime I ask for what kind of videos do you guys want to see, this is what comes up. And so I'm going to tackle it in a couple ways. One, I'm going to sit down. This is going to be the first video where I kind of just like talk through it. And then I'm going to make some more like specialized videos, like I guess they would be like day in the life type vlogs to really show you how I do everything. But we need to start with this video first because we need to like understand so I can explain some stuff. I'm getting over a cold and this is the first time I've like filmed, and I've been talking fine, but for some reason, like when you film, you use a different part of your voice, and so I feel like I have to keep pausing. So sorry about that. This is not my normal talking voice. I'm just getting over a cold. So to basically summarize what the main question always is how do I do it all? And what does that mean? Well, if you're new here, first of all, hi, my name is Ashlee. I am a homeschooling mom. I have 3 kids. I have an 11-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old daughter, and 5-year-old son. What I think makes me so unique and why I get this question so often is because I actually work full-time. I work in the finance industry. I have worked in the finance industry for over 10 years, and my current position and role is remote. So I do work from home, but I work around 40 hours a week. I have a boss. I have like daily tasks. So I have a real legit job that I have to balance my priorities too. I am at home working. I have 3 kids. My husband also works outside of the home, and so I kind of balance both roles. Like I do feel very unique. I feel like there's not many people like me. I feel like the most I've met is here on this platform. You guys reaching out to me saying I'm doing the same thing. What are your tips? And that's kind of why I started sharing our life. And when I originally started sharing, I was still working out of the home. So I do have experience actually working out of the home and homeschooling because that's how we originally started. I've done it both ways. I much prefer working remote, but that's for other reasons too. And I feel like I have an amazing job. And so if I had a job that I did not like or that I felt like I couldn't have a good work-life balance, we would probably be in a different conversation here. So let's first get it out of the way is no one's situation is ever going to be the same. So I can sit here and tell you all my tips and tricks, but your situation is not like mine. Your support system is not going to be like mine. Your job is not going to be like mine. Your reasons why are not going to be like mine. So you have to just get that out of the way. You can't really mimic anyone's life. And so I'm not going to tell you what company I work for. I'm not going to tell you my job title because those things don't matter. What matters is a lot of my time and a lot of my day is based off choices. So I only have so much time in a day. I have, 8 hours of my day, Monday through Friday, that are dedicated to working. I have hours that I need to dedicate to homeschooling my kids. I have hours that I need to dedicate to sleeping. I have hours that I need to eat. I have hours for myself that I need to work out or I need to read a book. Hours that I need to spend with my kids that is not homeschooling. Hours that I need to spend with my husband. And so every hour of my day is valuable, and so I don't have a lot of wasted time. I have, very strict routines that I stick to and boundaries that let me achieve all these things. And this is years in the making. This is not like I just got a job in week 1, everything was perfect. There is definitely ups and downs, but after a few years, I've just found the flow that works for everyone, right? If you were talking to me last year, my needs, my personal mental health and wellness was always at the bottom. Everything else needed to get taken care of before I did, and that's not how it is anymore. I don't put my needs above anyone else's, but they are definitely balanced. And that is another key thing, is it's all about balance. So my job is remote. I am a full-time employee. I am a salaried employee though, so I don't like clock in for hours. Like I don't have like a time card or anything that I submit. I make the same amount of money every single week. Some weeks I work more than 40 hours. Sometimes I work different scheduled hours than the Monday through Friday, because the type of work I do is up and down. It fluctuates. You know, there's day-to-day work that I do that doesn't really change, and then there's sometimes, you know, projects that require different things of me. So I also can't sit here and say my work schedule is exactly the same every day, because it's not. Some days it's very open and clear. I just have my daily tasks to do, and then you know, I don't have any meetings or anything else. Other days I'm on camera for 8 hours. You know, I'm unable to do anything other than stare at the computer. And so that was, I think, the most challenging thing in the beginning, is that I could not like say every Monday we can do this, because every Monday could look different for me. And so that is something that I just had to understand. Like, my work schedule can always change. I could be less or more needed at any point in time. And so when that translates into homeschooling, I have to almost look at homeschooling as if, what if I'm never available during work hours? And that's how I would recommend anyone else to structure it. And so there's a couple ways you can go about this. One, and this is what I used to do when I worked outside of the home, is we did school a couple days during the week when I got home from work. So at 5 o'clock in the evening, we would have dinner and then we would do school. And we would only do that a couple days during the week, and we would school on the weekends. So I was off Saturday and Sunday from work, and we would have the bulk of our curriculum done on those 2 days. I have used many online programs. When I worked out of the home, I would have my kids, and they were so little now that I think back of that. I had a 3rd grader and kindergartner doing online Me Academy. So they obviously, I had a nanny that would be here when I was at work, and they would log on and watch like 3-minute videos and answer some questions. I would make them little packets of folders, and they would do work. And that's, you know, how we got by. And so I think, you know, just keeping yourself structured but not like strict is what would help the most. Obviously now, if you follow me, you know, we're in a pretty good flow. Majority of the time we homeschool 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's because my kids go to co-ops on Mondays and Fridays. Right now, co-ops aren't in session, and so we're doing a little bit more schoolwork on Mondays at home. I choose curriculum that is not very teacher dependent. And so as much as I would love, you know, the huge teacher guide that walks you through everything to say, and you have all these things to plan, I have to be realistic, and like, I can't do that. I can be there to support my kids, but the way our schedule works, you know, my kids like to get up and get their schoolwork done. And so I've raised my daughters to be very independent learners. You know, they've been through this with me. And so they also prefer to just get their work done and not have to wait on me. So I had to choose a curriculum that supports that. I use things like Saxon Math with Nicole the Math Lady, where Nicole teaches the math lessons. I'm there for support and can help, but that takes that off my plate. So choosing a curriculum that also supports your schedule and your goals is very important. It is more challenging with younger children, like my kindergartner. You know, my son is also, I don't want to say he's like unique, but he is one of the kids I call a COVID kid. He grew up, you know, he was what, a year or 2 years old during 2020. And so he's really been used to me being at home more than my daughters were as a working mom. And you know, he's also been more used to me working from home. So like at a very young, I mean, he's still young, he's 5, but you know, at 2 to 3, I had a nanny. Even if I was working from home, I had a nanny that would be here. And he knew that, you know, even though mom's here, she's working. And so my kids just understand it because it's been so many years of us doing it. It hasn't always been easy, but it's just something that we've grown as a family to understand. Back to my kindergartner, you know, I no longer have a nanny, and so, you know, his education, I don't think a kindergartner should just be on a computer doing lessons, right? Like I don't think that's the ideal situation. And so for him, I do need to carve out, you know, an hour of my day to do school with him. And I do feel like you need to be more consistent with little ones. So again, just where does that hour fit in? My work schedule can be flexible to where, you know, I can take a break in the middle of the day and do school with him and then jump back onto work. I have that, you know, opportunity to do that. So I don't know if the questions I receive are from parents who are already working or who are considering getting a job. But if you're considering getting a job, or if you're struggling, you know, these are things you need to communicate with your employer. Obviously, they have a business to run and they're paying you to work. And so you need to, you know, work the promised hours that your company is wanting you to do. But, you know, is there room for flexibility? You know, can I work 4 hours, clock out, take a lunch break, homeschool your kid, and then, you know, jump back on later? Those are all conversations that you need to have. Or before you accept a job, you need to understand the requirements of you and your schedule. So back to my schedule, I work for a company that is most of the time on East Coast time, and I'm on West Coast time. And so I actually start work pretty early, my time. I start around 5:30, 6 a.m. You know, most of the people I work with are already online because it's like 9 o'clock their time. And so I like starting early because I can get a good like 4 solid of hours of work in, maybe like 3.5 hours of work in before my kids are ready to start school. So that's another thing too. Like, if you like sleeping in and you're wasting 4 hours of your morning, that may be something you need to change. Or if you're a night owl, maybe you homeschool your kids in the morning and you get a job that's at night, or vice versa. You get like an afternoon job and then homeschool your kids at night. I mean, you can really do whatever you want. It's just, these are the things you need to think about. So yes, I start work very early. I get a bunch of work done, like my daily tasks that I have to get done. Those are what I do in the morning. I'm focused. No one is awake in the house. Everything is quiet. I just literally solid like 3 to 4 hours of work, get it done every day. Then I normally take a break. My kids are ready to start school. My husband is home in the mornings, and so he can help with like breakfast. My kids though can also get themselves breakfast. So that's other things, like your kids need to be a little more independent, I think, than if you did not have competing priorities. I don't think a working mom or stay-at-home mom that doesn't have like an additional job, there's, you know, no one is working harder or less. It's just your focus is in different areas. And so I rely on my kids a lot to be independent. And, you know, I would be like that, I think, even if I didn't work. I just think people should be independent, and I'm raising my kids to one day leave my house and be able to have their own lives. And so if, you know, you can't make a bowl of cereal by the time you're 6, like we gotta get it together, guys. So my kids are pretty independent in that way. And then I'll take a break. I'll help them get started on their school. And then it just depends like how my day is looking of when I actually do school with my kindergartner, if, you know, how much I'm available to help my girls through their stuff. But really my girls at this point are using me more as like, okay, this is next, this is what you do. But they're pretty much in control of like their school and curriculum. They're awesome, very independent. They don't need their hand held like my kindergartner. Another thing that I do is I meal prep. I have done this for, I don't even know, forever. Doesn't matter if I'm following a specific diet or not. I meal plan. That means that I don't have to cook breakfast, I don't have to cook lunch, and I don't have to cook, well, I'll get to the dinner portion soon, but during my work hours, I don't have time to be cooking lunch for 3 kids and myself. I use that time for other things. So I meal prep a lot to have things ready to go, and I spend a lot of my weekend doing that. So on Sunday, I am not out with friends. I am not laying out at the pool. I am in my kitchen for a few hours meal prepping everything, because that keeps me successful as well during the week. I have healthy, nutritious breakfast that I can heat up. My kids, again, can eat that breakfast. They can make their own, and same for lunch. I'll make sandwiches. I always have fruit and vegetables available, or my kids are completely capable of making their own lunches. And then for dinner, I normally meal prep my dinners, and then I'm making the kids something, you know, easy. Chicken and vegetables is normally like our go-to for them. I do finish my workday around 3 or 3:30, which is pretty early in the afternoon, which is awesome. My kids have already most of the time finished school by that time because of just how our school works. How my kids keep themselves busy between when they finish school and when I'm done working. First thing is chores. My kids all do chores. They always have done chores. My two oldest daughters are now earning allowance for their chores, so they have like a weekly checklist that they do. They earn money every week, and so that keeps them busy for a couple hours. They all have, you know, independent activities that they like to do. You know, once school and chores are done, they are allowed to have screen time. They're allowed to call their friends. They can play together if they want. That's always hit or miss. It really just depends. You know, my son, my 5-year-old, I think I've done a video kind of showing what he does. It changes. He builds Legos, he builds Magnetiles, he dresses up in his room, he plays with our dogs. You know, they're pretty good at keeping themselves busy, either independently or in the rare occasion they're all getting along. They will all, you know, hang out together. Now let's talk about things like co-ops. We are in a co-op, and the only reason we are able to be in the co-op we are in is because of my mother-in-law. So my mother-in-law is the one who can take them to their co-op classes and activities, because the co-op that we decided to enroll in only offers those things during the work week. So again, my situation is not your situation. I have that support system that is willing to do that, and it works for us. And so that is why we can do that. That does help me a lot, because when co-op sessions are in and my kids are with my mother-in-law on Mondays and Fridays, I tend to make those my super busy work days. I tend to schedule a lot of my meetings on those days. Just because the kids aren't home, I can, you know, get more work in. I will work longer hours on those days and then kind of balance that the rest of the week. Now, what I will say is, if I did not have that support system, there are other co-ops that I found when I first started homeschooling that do more things of like meetups. So know that my kids probably wouldn't be able to go to like the structured co-op classes, but there were tons of meetups or activities on the weekends that I would have been able to take them to. It's just I didn't need to make that decision, so we are using the co-op that is working best for us now. I'm looking at like all the questions. How do I take care of myself? Well, when I am done working for the day, I normally do a quick check with my kids, see how they're all doing, how they're feeling. It's around 3 o'clock normally. Most of the time my kids are occupied. They're doing something that they've been doing, they're hanging out, they're playing, and so I will take 30 minutes to work out. That is how I take care of myself during the week. On the weekends is where I do kind of like all my maintenance. I do my eyelashes, I do my fake nails, anything else I'll do on the weekends. I read books all the time. I listen to audiobooks, and so I can listen to audiobooks while I work. I can listen to audiobooks while I cook. I can listen to audiobooks while I clean. I can listen to audiobooks while my kids are doing something else. And so that's really like my self-care. I do a lot of convenience type things. You know, I use Instacart for grocery deliveries. I don't know the last time I've stepped foot in a grocery store to like actually grocery shop. That saves me a lot of time. Meal prepping is what I talked about. That saves me a bunch of time during the week. Making choices, right? Like I could you know, go hang out with a friend all day on a Saturday or Sunday, which I've done before, but then I don't get a lot of stuff done. So my weekends are really when I do a lot of housework, I do a lot of laundry, and then during the week, my kids are the ones who are doing the chores, and so they're the ones that are doing the dishes, they're the ones like that are picking up their rooms, picking up the living room, and so, you know, we all contribute to the home, and my kids are part of the home, and that's how we've always done it. Other things I have is like I use my homeschool online planner where I literally just print out the weekly checklist. Like nothing in my brain has to think about what we're doing for school because it's all planned out. As much as I would love to be the Pinterest mom, the unit study mom, you know, I have to also be honest with myself and like how much can I do? And so, you know, after years, I've really narrowed it down to curriculum that supports me. And that's where I think like it's so hard is because is there better curriculums? Maybe. I know there's so many good curriculums out there, and there's so many good curriculums that I'm like, oh, if I was a stay-at-home mom, I would use this curriculum. And so you also just have to be honest with yourself, like what's going to work best for your situation and what's going to support you the best. And that is where I feel like I've really like chosen, you know, curriculum or resources or schedules that just support us all the best. And we're in a really great flow in this season. Now, again, seasons change with little kids, with older kids, you know, you're always dealing with different elements. And so if I had 3 kids like under the age of 6, this would be like a completely different story. But, you know, I no longer have a kid in diapers. I no longer have, you know, kids that can't communicate besides crying. You know, all my kids can communicate. My kids, you know, are pretty well, obviously my older daughters are well balanced in managing their time and their own schedules. My son is doing great for a 5-year-old. You know, he knows when it's school time, he knows how to keep himself busy. My oldest daughter is really good if I ever need help with my son and I really, you know, I need her to watch him for me because I'm going to be like in an extended meeting or something. So it's just, if you want it to work, you can make it work. You just have to really like, I would say quiet your work week as much as you can, and do things when you have days off to prepare yourself with that. Or if, you know, you are working out of the home and you work 8 hours and you know you're going to be tired when you get home, one, make sure there's a dinner already ready when you get home, whether that's a meal prep, it's an easy kit you just throw in the, you know, the oven, whether it's eating, like ordering something out. And don't do school that day. Like if you just know you have one day a week that is like not going to be a good day, don't make that your school day. You really have to just like be honest with yourself and like be like, what's going to be the best option? You're homeschooling because I'm sure you're homeschooling for many reasons, but one of the benefits of homeschooling is the flexibility of it. So use that flexibility when it comes to being a working parent. It's not easy, but it doesn't also have to be hard unless you make it hard. So find what's going to work best for you. Try out different things. You know, you may have to give up some stuff, or it's all about compromising, right? Like if I spend all day Saturday at the salon, which I've done before, or spa, you know, you just have to say, you know what, I'm probably not going to get laundry done this week. Probably not going to do this week, and that's okay. But then the next weekend, you know, I have to stay home and do laundry this week, and I have to, you know, do this week. Or, you know, what can your spouse do? My husband does so much that balances out like what I have to do. Like it's such little things, but like he gets gas in my car and I don't even have to mentally think about getting gas in my car because he just does it. Or he, you know, always takes the trash out, or he always makes sure we have certain things. And like it's just like, you know, making sure that you're being supported with those around you and who can support you. And then this message is for like all moms, not just working moms, stay-at-home moms. You know, you do need time without your kids. So thankfully I get that, you know, because of my mother-in-law, but I also need time that like I'm not working without my kids too. So like make sure that I don't think you should, you know, I don't do it like every week, but like once a month, you know, I just need to like step away from everything and just kind of balance out. So I hope this kind of helped. I think the next steps in some of these will be like a day in the life, showing my schedule. It's just really hard to film those because I have like such a structured routine that any filming kind of like bumps into that. And you know, you see me up at 5 a.m. No one else in my house is up, so I can't really be like loud and like, you know, doing stuff. So I'll think about it. If you have more questions or specific things you want to see, leave those down below. But I hoped this kind of helped of those of you that keep asking, like, how do I balance? How do I do it all? It's balance, it's compromise, it's having patience with myself, asking for help when you need it, and just, you know, making whatever you're doing work for you, whether that's your schedule, whether that's curriculum, whether that's your job. You know, boundaries are important. Being honest is important. And you know, you're only human. You're only one person. You can only do so much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. It was a long one. Have a great day, guys. Bye.